Welcome to episode 139, which is our last one for this year, and then we're going to have a break and we'll see you back in a few weeks. So I thought this was a good opportunity to review all of the topics from this year and my discussions with different business owners, leaders, and my own research, which brought me to 5 growth drivers. So today I'm going to give you those 5, along with some clear actions that you can take, and also some steps you can take if you want some support. So what really drives business growth? It all comes back to people, and there are 5 growth drivers that you can focus on to be able to grow your business next year. 1 is brand and purpose that attracts the right people and the right customers. 2 is intentional hiring and retention that removes the guesswork. 3, managers who coach rather than direct. 4, data and AI used with a human lens. And 5, culture as a growth strategy, not as a side project. So looking at driver 1, brand and purpose make hiring and sales easier. When your employer brand, your company purpose are clear, you attract better candidates and your customers feel the difference. Your employer brand is how candidates see you, and it applies to every business that hires people. And back in episode 101, I shared a case where we looked at 5 employer USPs, so unique selling propositions like standard work hours, supplier training, and just uncovering what those USPs were changed the quality of the applicants and the speed of the hiring. I also challenge the idea that purpose is just for big companies, because purpose gives employees and your customers a strong sense of identity and becomes a lens for decision making in your business. The phrase "we have a great culture" means nothing on its own. We have to be specific. We have to say what is unique about working with us. So we need to show that in our job ads and in our socials, and that often comes back to our purpose. So your January action is to write a 1-page brand and purpose brief that your leaders or your recruiters can use. Include who you are, why you exist, what are the 3 pain points that you solve, what are the 3 main values or behaviors that you value in your business. And then share that with the team and use it in your next job ad, use it in your sales deck. And I find this exercise can be more powerful with a third party facilitating the discussion, because we already know this stuff, but it's stuck in our minds. So having someone else helping to get that out is really, really powerful. So you could use your HR partner to assist, you can use a business coach. And of course, if you don't have either of those and you need support, you can get in touch with us at Amplify HR. Driver 2, professional hiring and retention beat ad hoc fixes. Recruitment is time consuming, costly, but it's really high impact. But because it can be such a draining process, many managers just default to old habits. So a candidate-centered approach will treat candidates like potential customers. This means making the process simple and human. So not asking for cover letters because no one does them anyway, or they're using the robots to do them. So they're not really adding value. Keeping people informed along the way in the recruitment process, building structured interviews and job-related assessments, and then asking your candidates for feedback on your process so you can improve. If your new hire isn't working out, you will normally see the signs early and you need to act early. Be direct and respectful. Document concerns even during probation, because although they may not be able to make an unfair dismissal claim in probation, there is still the option for general protections claims in Australia. And of course, if you have a pattern of new hires not working out, this points to a process issue, not a people issue. So you need better ads, structured interviews, proper onboarding. So your January action for this driver is to create a hiring scorecard for your next critical role. Have 3 must-haves, 3 nice-to-haves, and then how you're going to test each one. Map the recruitment journey and then apply it. And you want to keep it really human, but also fast. And if you plan to add more than 2 roles in Q1, then consider a service like fractional HR, where we can design your recruitment processes to make them effective and enable your leaders to stay focused on customers and delivery. Okay, driver 3, managers make or break performance. Yeah, there is a special moment in the growth of small businesses when you realize it's time to hire or promote a manager. But my number one rule is to resist promoting the person who is technically best if they are untested as a people leader. And what I mean by that is that your best salesperson, your best accountant, your best therapist, your best consultant doesn't necessarily make a great manager. And we can trial leadership first by making them project leads or making them an onboarding buddy. And we can see how they manage people, but also see if they enjoy it and want to take a management path. And then, of course, we want to support new managers with clarity and having a simple leadership charter and real one on ones. Yeah, sometimes people default to micromanagement as a way just to know what's happening, but that drains time and energy. It frustrates employees, it erodes trust. So, shifting to clear outcomes and coaching rather than controlling is where we want to get to. We want to build trust in small moments and set expectations so people can take ownership. So, your January action is to run a 1 month manager reset. Week 1, set clear goals with each of your direct reports. Week 2, run a coaching style one on one so they can see what they should be doing with their people. Week 3, give feedback that is specific and kind and useful. And week 4, remove one blocker for each person. And if you need help to develop your managers, you can check out our leadership workshops to help your teams gain momentum quickly. Okay, driver 4, using data and AI with a human lens. Now, most of us know that data matters, but the sweet spot is tracking the right things for the right reasons. Think back to those big rocks that we want to get done before the sand. We want to set 3 to 5 priorities for the quarter, cascade them, and track progress consistently. And we want to balance the numbers with the context so decisions can stay human. We can use AI to remove administration and use a simple dashboard in our current tools, but the goal is still to have a human conversation and to look at what the numbers are telling us and what the action is that we're going to take. We could pick 3 people metrics to track monthly. So, for example, time to hire, the success rate in the first 90 days, the manager's one on one completions, and then review them in our next leadership meeting and choose one action. And of course, your HR partner can set up those dashboards and the rhythm so that it sticks. Driver 5, culture is your growth strategy. And this means we need to be intentional with our culture. So if we want a flexible culture, that's awesome, but we need to be intentional and build the processes and the ways of working around it. We can't just say we have a flexible culture. Flexibility only works when there are guardrails. So, for example, the 4-day week, it needs a pilot, it needs an outcome focus, it needs a redesign of work. Work from anywhere sounds modern, but you've got to manage tax and legal and cyber risks and fairness. Most teams expect some form of hybrid, so we want to design it with purpose. Sometimes that's with anchor days. Sometimes it's actually making sure we're training our managers for how to manage in a hybrid way. And, if we want a culture of accountability, we need to create ownership by being clear on outcomes and building alignment so people can act independently. That is how accountability becomes normal and becomes part of our culture and scales with our business. So, your January action is if you say to yourself, well, our culture's great. Why is it great? How is it going to stay great? And if it's not great, then clearly you already know your actions. Either way, you can read our free Find, Grow, Keep ebook and you can decide one action item from each pillar to focus on in Q1. And that becomes your people plan for the first 90 days. And if you really want to hit the ground running, we have an Accelerate program that implements those foundations. It goes through our entire Fire and Grow Keep methodology with you in 12 weeks so that your team is ready to scale. Okay, so they're your 5 growth drivers and they're your actions for January. So now it's decision time. Do you need more support in the new year? And the way to know that is to answer these 3 questions. 1, do you have a clear Q1 people plan that your leadership team can describe? 2, are your managers ready to coach rather than direct? And 3, can you fill a critical role in 14 days with a really quality shortlist? And I don't mean going to a recruiter, doing that yourself in-house. And if the answer is not a confident yes to all 3, then it is time to get HR support. And that might be fractional HR for an experienced HR partner, a day or 2 a month. It could be something like our Accelerate program where we build the entire Find, Go, Keep methodology. Or it could be that you're starting to really grow and looking at, well, how do we build internal HR into our business? Either way, if you want to get your people plan set, book a free discovery call and we will map out your priorities and show you the quickest wins for your business. You can use the link in the show notes to book a time. And if you've received value from this episode, I'd love it if you could leave a rating or a review over Apple Podcasts or Spotify so someone else can also find the episodes to help with their business. Thank you for listening this year. I hope that this roundup gives you some clarity and confidence moving into the next year. And I wish you a safe break and I'll see you then.